Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Lucas on Yorion in Taxes versus Barnaby on Ant. A very explosive combo deck, but Duress is not going to provide very much protection here. Just grabs a Swords to Plowshares, kind of a dead card in this matchup. Wasteland for Lucas takes out the Bayou. We'll see how much more mana it has. Another Duress, and I actually don't really like that Duress here. Can't think of very much that it could hit that would be worthwhile. Once you know your opponent's on Death and Taxes, very likely that those extra discard spells will be better off utilized with Brainstorm to get rid of some dead cards, or even just giving you some extra storm on the turn that you actually combo off. But there's not a whole lot that you're actually going to be able to use a Duress for. Even just holding it for the ability to potentially hit a Stoneforge Mystic target like Batterskull or Cauldron Complete could have more utility. We have Wishclaw Talisman landing here for Ant. Thalia is on board for Death and Taxes, which is plan A 100%. You get down Thalia, it's going to be literally an extra 10 mana for them to get to Storm 10. Is a massive problem. With a third basic plains, and now Skyclave Apparition shows up and is going to exile this Wishclaw. Very, very bad spot here for Ant. Actually scooping it up. Barnaby going to try and give himself as much time as possible in case one of these next two games is super grindy. And, tournament magic is more than just wins and losses in terms of games. You've got a 50-minute time limit, and that does greatly impact end of the tournament. I mean, lose a game or lose a match because you don't have quite enough time to finish because you were kind of dirtling around in a low percentage situation earlier on in the match, that does not matter. Your opponent is under absolutely no obligation to scoop to you. And realistically, they shouldn't. I mean, you had the ability to scoop earlier. A game didn't, and then you find yourself with, just one more turn and I would have got you. It's like, that's partially your call. Now, of course, if your opponent is playing very slowly, but they're new to the deck, I mean, that's certainly a sporting consideration. We're learning a deck, and you're the reason why the match went long, and your opponent has been nothing but courteous during the match. That's, I would argue, a different consideration in terms of whether or not it would be respectable to concede. Not be a whole lot of cards coming in here. Deafening Silence, Mindbreak Trap. I believe that was a Peacekeeper is one of the last cards going in there. So Yorion and Taxes, of course, as we see, that is not from double sleeving. That is actually just a massive deck of cards, as Yorion requires the extra cards to be used as a companion. And it does make a lot of sense to have quite a few sideboard cards for matchups like this, as the percentage of, like, the composition of your deck doesn't get as impacted as much by little chipping around the edges, one of, two of type of thing. It's not like a tweak with a 60 card deck, and you're adding in all of those extra cards. It really does make a difference in terms of the probability of seeing one or more of those cards. So Lucas just bringing a whole ton of sideboard cards. Like he's got one here. Rip, Leyline. That is going to complicate things significantly for Ant. That's going to shut off Cabal Ritual. And, of course, the Past and Flame lines are the most straightforward. The Leyline of the Void. Probably just the best graveyard hate in terms of raw power level. Comes in pre-game. It's a big permanent in terms of removing it. Something like a Prismatic Ending or an Abrupt Decay can have a really tough time. Abrupt Decay, the more likely played between those two in Storm. Though I've heard that Prismatic Ending is seeing some play in some 5-color builds, despite the sorcery speed. Stoneforge Mystic. Oh, I missed that Chalice of the Void. So we had Chalice at 1 last turn. That's shutting off the entire bottom rung of the ladder. So cards like Preordain are now bricks. Ponder, Preordain, Brainstorm, Dark Ritual. So many 1 casting cost cards in Ant. And Chalice at 1. Huge problem. Problems really mounting. And now Stoneforge Mystic has grabbed Cauldron Complete. I'm going to put a real time preference for a Infernal Tutor. Going to put a real clock here. We've got double Lion's Eye Diamond off of Infernal Tutor. So Infernal Tutor typically used while Hellbent to get any card functioning as a demonic tutor here, revealing a second copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. This could be enough. Let's see, Cauldron Complete. Swings in. We've got Rishadan Port going after that basic swamp. It has that Underground Sea for black mana only. Wasteland takes that out. So no more black mana right now. Port takes out the swamp again. Just a couple of turns left. Oh, another port. Brutal. And that is actually going to do it. Going back to essentially 0 mana as double Rishadan Port really closes the door. Pretty tough to get any traction when you have no mana at the start of the turn. And there's a Chalice at 1. It's going to be at least 2 turns before you can even cast a 2-drop. That is a blazing fast finish for Death and Taxes versus one of the more feared combo decks in the format.